Now, in 292 days, Ghana goes to the polls to elect 275 members of parliament and a president from the 7th of January 2025. Who will it be? Well, this morning, we're here to tell you what to expect as we launch your comprehensive coverage of Election 2024. My name is Winston Amwa, and I'm here with
Mama Viewswabuaje,
Benjamin Akako,
Evans Mensa,
MFA Apo.
Thank you guys for joining me, and of course, welcome. I believe all of you are doing very well.
Very well, Winston. We're doing great. We're doing great. It's good to be back here. 4 years ago, we were here, right here at the forecourt of the AMA main office in Accra, and we thank God that we're back 4 years after.
Yes, of course, 4 years we're here, and all things being equal, by end of year, we'll know who becomes the next president of Ghana. But for us, the most important thing is what our listeners and viewers can expect from us in 2024, what they can expect from tomorrow as we begin our preparation towards election 2024. Evans, what can they expect?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot. That's why we're here. And the choice of this location was done quite deliberately. Because for us this year, our theme for coverage of this year's elections is for an informed electorate. We want to have an informed electorate. And everything else we're going to do this year is designed to deliver just that. Informing them, ordinary people, middle class, upper class people. And this really is a melting pot of Ghana. This area here, the Accra Central Business District. If you look at it, right in front of us, we have the ministries. Behind us, we have Mokola, the Cantamanto, and areas where I used to play because I grew up here in Kodeklote. And then to my extreme left here, you have the TUC building. You have other banks, other facilities there. So you really have everybody else in this space. Okay, everybody's favorite, station, bus terminal is right here, which is the Tema station, right? I mean, so that is why
the Supreme Courts as well.
Here we go. The Supreme Court is here. If you go to law school, you want to come to the Mokola as well. So everybody else is in this particular place. If you want to meet the every Ghanaian represented in this great nation of ours, this is a place to come to, and that is what we are setting up here. Today, we are going to be crossing over to Kumasi 2, where our colleagues will be standing by in Swami Magazine, because this is a national event later this year. The elections is a national event, and we want to represent this as part of this coverage. We'll also go to the northern region, where we'll be talking to the people there as well. And then even in Greater Accra, we will be right behind us at the UTC area there, right in the intersection between Mokola and Cantamanto, right in the heart of it. Hearing from market women, people on their way to work, trotro drivers and your mates, no pun intended, but mates, we'll hear from them this morning.
Oh,
Which mate is taking over
why
from
the
which driver?
reference on
And
this?
I saw
Anyway,
that Mamavi, what Mamavi did there on the Supreme Court's presence around here, in case there's an election petition. I'm sure that's why she was referring to the Supreme Court.
But of course, talking about election petition, the Independence Square is not so far away from here too. Okay?
That's true.
And that's where the president will be sworn in, all things being equal. Let me say that this coverage is brought to us by Petrosol and Syntex Tank.
Yes, and even if he's not sworn in there, he'll be sworn in right across here from Parliament.
Exactly.
Parliament House, where he attended to do so the last time. You remember that? So yes, we really are in the heart of it. Why? Because we are the election headquarters. We are the heart of everything elections, and that's why we need to set up in a place like this, at the forecourt of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, where Accra, Ghana really is very busy this morning. As you can see the vehicles, everybody else going somewhere, and the intersection of that is it's where we're sitting right now.
All right, so let's just... yes, sir.
I just had to note on the back of the allusion by MFA that actually right now you are the driver and we are your mates in this bus. And
No, we're not mates. We're spare drivers.
Well, you cannot have four mates. You cannot have four mates.
It shows the kind of driver you are. So then
the
four
big
mates for one driver.
buses.
It means the bus is big. Huge bus. Not the kind of driver that I am. But let's just say a big thank you to Absa Bank Ghana Limited, helping you find a way to get things done. Millennium Insurance, your trustworthy partner, and Total Energies. To Total, we go the extra mile for you for bringing us the 6 a.m. news. We're also grateful to Omni Basic Bank at your service for the Joy Business Report.
All right, so our Drive Safe campaign is brought to you by Joy News and Multimedia Group. and supported proudly always by Toyota, superior quality, and Imperial General Assurance, solid protection. So our drive safe today, I have a great tip. Thanks be to God, for the first time in years, the TUC traffic light is working. So if you're heading to Accra today, you won't have a policeman being the traffic director. The traffic light is actually working. So once you get to the TUC junction, please be careful because the traffic lights are back on.
No, what kind of puasano? That's a novelty. It's something that we don't see often. Today I noticed it as well.
Yeah.
And you've actually
It wasn't working on Friday.
And
it's
Wings,
working today.
I just need to give special mention to Petrosol and Syntex Tank. They're making this possible. Right from last year, Petrosol joined as the headline partner for the election headquarters, and they've continued the partnership. Also, we are delighted that Syntex Tank is the official partner for this launch. And again, they've been very good to make sure that we can bring this to our audiences. And today we're going to have some significant dignitaries, pass through here. The IGP's reps are on the way. The Electoral Commission will be here. The political parties, the general secretaries will be here as well. Civil society will be represented. The market women will be represented. And right behind us, I don't know, Mama V and MFI will probably be doing some,
Definitely. Once we are here, we hardly come around this town,
have to
at
take
part of town. So once we're here, we'll take
Take
advantage
advantage and do what?
and then buy something.
Buy what?
You
Oh,
can't
some
come to the Central
tomatoes.
Business District and not do Makola at least.
So what are you buying?
Oh, so you guys came prepared to
Very
do
prepared.
extra,
Absolutely.
You're here to
extra
talk about
election
elections.
stuff.
Elections.
Well, elections are about the people, right? And the businesses.
Inform the electorate. Once
True.
we are there, we'll inform them.
Inform them.
So you want to be informed yourself.
Yes.
Know what's happening in the market.
So information kakra.
Oh, okay.
Purchasing so kakra.
But let's remember, Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity, and Syntex Tank, strong,
Yes,
safe.
A big thank you to them, MFI.
Yeah.
It's been great partnership, and we look forward to more of that later this year.
Well, I guess at around this time on radio, since this is a simulcast, you would have expected to get Say It Right, where you're taught how to say it right. And it's brought to you courtesy of Kingdom Books. At Kingdom, quality and affordability are our hallmarks, and Societe Generale Bank Ghana, the future is you. Because of the programming for today, we'll not bring you Say It Right, but from tomorrow, it is back on the Super Morning Show.
All right, I think we can get into the newspapers now.
Okay, I'll start with the BNFT.
But
That's what I have.
before you start
then,
with the BNFT,
Evans, you have to do
Oh,
that.
yes. Well, it's
See how you
been a
admit.
while since I've done an
Bad
morning show. You
mates.
guys invite me over more so I get conversant. And of course, the news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank. In your best interest, Goyle Good Energy.
that's actually the online news review. So
Oh,
we'll get to that later.
We'll come to that. Yeah, we'll come to that.
What's on this morning?
And of course, the newspaper review is brought to you by Syntex Tank. So you're strong and you're tough. And Enterprise Insurance at 100-year FINIA promotion, celebrating our legacy, securing your future. Let's get into it.
Yes.
Who starts first?
MFA?
Ladies first. MFA?
Yes.
I'll go with the BNFT, and inflation reverse cast doubt on near-term rate cuts. Also on the front page, value of secured loans sees sharp decline of 54.9% in 2023 quarter 4. We also have some labor stories there. SNIT targets 2,000 informal workers in northern region in 2024. That's the target for SNIT in terms of 2,000 informal workers in the northern region. So that's on the front page of the BNFT. The back page has a donation. That's a GCB Bank donates computers to physiotherapy department of Kolebu Teaching Hospital. That's the BNFT.
Okay, I have here the Ghanaian Times, and on the front page, a story that everybody will be interested in. Government releases 150 million CDs to contractors for road maintenance. We're going to have our potholes fixed from what the story says. And as we
150 million
150
CDs.
million CDs.
CDs.
Yes, your point is?
Okay.
Your point is?
I think my point is made. I'm waiting for the Tema stretch, though. Work to
fix,
start
yeah.
on the Tema motorway.
Okay, you're waiting for the Tamamoto way to be fixed?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Aren't you
okay.
excited about it? When was the last time you used that stretch?
Well, 150 million, I don't know if the Tamamoto way is part of it.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it is part of it, but I'm just hoping that...
the
because
point
it's on
is
the
the point
drawing
is simply this: must the Ministry of Roads and Highways be releasing that much at what intervals for maintenance of roads, particularly potholes?
Right.
Do we have to wait till the roads deteriorate and then we turn around and say we're going to fix the roads with these huge sums? Is that what we've become as a people?
So it tells you about our maintenance culture. Recently, in some places I'm familiar with, Jowulu and other places, you would see that some of these have been done, East Legon and all of that, but you look at it and you can tell that within a certain number of months or in less than a year, it's going to go bad again.
So the statement said the intervention was to enable the Ghana Highways Authority and the Department of Urban Roads to take advantage of the dry season to undertake routine pothole patching on some major roads which had deteriorated due to heavy rains last year. The ministry is hopeful that this timely intervention will result in smoother road surfaces, help reduce the risk of accidents, and prolong the lifespan of our road infrastructure. And you asked a very relevant question. I mean, maintenance has to be very regular. It doesn't appear that this is the case. So you wait for it to completely deteriorate. You spend far more on it.
Exactly.
And then you actually have a smaller stretch of roads to actually fix. And what I don't want to see is the re-asphalting of roads that are already in good condition. Because there are parts of this country, in this particular, city, where roads that are, very decent, you go to work and return the next day, and it's been fantastically re-asphalted. Meanwhile, there are roads in my hood and on my road, Winston, that are in terrible condition.
Sino Hydro is coming to your rescue.
Amen.
Well, Sino Hydro has been coming to our rescue for God knows how long. But this is the problem, and you're very right. Today we spend a lot of time. So government turns around and says we have constructed about 10,000 kilometers. Out of that, over 1,500 is asphalt overlay. 6,000 of those feeder roads. Okay, and it says new roads. These are not new roads, but the point is that why do you wake up in the morning, for instance, go back to East Legon and go and re-asphalt the place and tell me, okay, I've done roads, when there are people who need roads? In fact, the roads leading to their areas are in a deplorable state. But hey, this is Ghana, where all we think about is the plush areas. All we think about is procurement. So the best thing to do is to go to these areas.
And you raise a very important point. Right? This is the launch of the election headquarters. Anytime we've been around the country with ballot box, the number one or two issues that people say will influence your votes is roads or some other infrastructure. It dominates. So the timing of this release screams to me some political advantage that the incumbent possibly wants to get with that. But we'll see what people say about that.
I'm just thinking 150 sounds like a huge figure. But if we were to do a program on roads, for instance, you see the number of people who would call in and say their roads are in a deplorable situation. So how much will 150 million actually do, considering where we are? I'm just thinking.
Well, it's a paltry sum, really, if you're thinking of it. But let's do the Finder, and then I'll get into the daily.
Right. The new Finder newspaper has on its front page, adopt Africa-wide mobile interoperability. Ekufuado rallies African heads of states. But thinking about Mr. President at this summit in Ethiopia, I'm just thinking about what he said to Blizzard in terms of the change, the recent reshuffle that he made. He says he actually did it not for himself, but for the people of Ghana. And I wonder if the people of Ghana share in that sentiment. Do you actually feel that this recent reshuffle was done in your best interest?
Well, I do not think that the president did this reshuffle for Ghanaians. At best, he did it for his political party, because the evidence is clear. Look, majority of those who lost elections are not going back. I'm not ministers again. And for those who are not contesting, the president has removed them out of office. You can reasonably infer that the president is doing this to give people some muscle, financial muscle, get them some bit of funds to contest election 2024.
But think about it this way also. If he tells you he's not doing this for himself, because if we're doing it for himself, maybe Ken will not go. Because we've been asking for Ken to go.
That's why I said
for now,
is he done?
For now, from
is
what
he
we
lurking
know,
around the corner?
But we are told that senior economic advisor position, at least, is not official just yet. But we are told
and
that
the investment role and everything else.
Because if he was doing it for himself, maybe Ken will still be there.
Wait,
so if he tells you this is not
he
for
waited
himself,
a year and a half, and he's now doing it in when it's how many months to an election, and he's doing it for Ghanaians.
So really, maybe
but
it's
you
because
see,
of
that's
the
why I
polls.
said at best for his political party. Because, this is just for the NPP. You know that the General Secretary of the NPP had consistently been reminding the president, about the need, for instance, to have a reshuffle. But I mean, if I look at this critically, okay, you realize, for instance, that somebody like the Sanitation and Water Resources Minister, she loses her primaries, he's out.
Yeah. Yes.
Dan Botry says, I'm not contesting again, he's out. Kwesi Amoakwanta says, I'm not contesting again, he's out. Dr. Kwekwe Friye says, I'm not contesting again, he's out. Now, Oti Region, Joseph Bakubu contests and loses, he's out. So I'm saying that if you look at all of these, and all those who've been brought in are those who are standing elections, it's obvious what the president wants to achieve, and it's obvious what he wants to achieve, particularly for his political party. If the president really wanted Ken out, he would have done that in 2022 when his party said, when his members of parliament said, enough, we don't want Ken Ofori-Atta.
But that's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making. He tells you it's not for himself, because if it's for him, people will stay. They won't go.
So by extension, what are you saying? It's not in his personal interest, it's for the party?
That's what he says, at
Well,
least.
it also tells you that
That's
there's no
President.
real loyalty in politics, and it is what it is. They'll do what works for them. But let's quickly do the daily guide. Some interesting stories in there. Ghana Post to distribute 1 million bars of chocolate. It's on the back of Valentine's Day, and Bice or Seiko 4, a.k.a. Oh, I thought you guys would add some.
The man who lost his election bid, and he wanted to represent the good people of Asante Achim.
After giving them jobs.
And I think this is the second
And they
time,
didn't
right?
vote for
This is
him.
the second try.
Yes.
And he failed to get that bid. Baumia unveils campaign team today, and it's a quartet, actually. You're looking at the likes of Fred Owari, Peter McMahon, Anthony Kabo, and Samir Wuku. Interesting names, stalwarts within the MPP. And
I
there's
think the
going to be a
campaign chairman will be, we're told that Dan Botry. Campaign manager actually will be Dan Botry.
Yeah.
He's been at the forefront of politics for a very long time. Knows the grassroots, and so if you really want to pursue an election, you need somebody like Dan Botry.
Yeah, and also, of course, Baumia will want to galvanize the base. And Winston, we've said it many times. One incumbent in his last term to win an election, to try and bring the eighth, the most important thing you need to do is to galvanize the base, get their people out there excited to go and vote. The question is, Dan Botry, can he galvanize the base? As you say, he's a grassroots person. So it signals what Baumia wants to do here in terms of re-energizing the base, to re-energize those people who wouldn't necessarily traditionally vote for MPP to go out there and vote.
Yeah, but I mean, as you talk about re-energizing and galvanizing the base, I mean, there's one thing that Dr. Baumia said that I always repeat because I agree with him. In galvanizing the base must also be sound economically. And Dr. Baumia says the best way to measure an economy is the state of your pocket. Now, the base of the party, are they energized enough? What would happen to them? Is the Ghanaian economy today,
are they feeling it in their pocket?
Are they feeling it in their pocket? And I'm sure if I asked anybody this question, the answer would be, many people would say no. Because, look, there's a story that talks about, public sector salaries up by 23%. And I know you talk about, how inflation is also around 23%. You're looking at the increases. And every time people make reference to inflation, of course, these are ways of measuring macroeconomic indicators. But the reality is that your inflation is always higher, or most of the times higher than the national average. Why? Because the national average is actually looking at the weight. So all of us know, I'll use an example in, where areas where they like dog meat, for instance. Consistently, we talked about dog meat having an inflation of 100%. But this weight was 0.00. 0.00. So it contributes to nothing inflation. But you're being told that dog meat is actually up by 100%. When you go, it doesn't contribute in any way to the determination of inflation. And mind you, all we are saying is that between January last year and January this year, the rate of increase is 23%. The rate of increase. And all we are saying is that between January 2022 and January 2023, the rate of increase was about 50%. So in total, we've become worse off than they make us believe.
And I think,
totally worse off.
I think something that we often miss, yes, when you talk about the micro, it's not so easy to let the macro trickle down to the micro, getting into people's pockets on the back of bad policies and all of that. But we fail to focus on month-on-month inflation, which is where the devil really is. It's not the year-on-year inflation. You would see a certain, but the month-on-month inflation actually is ticking up. It's not ticking down. So you talk about dog meat, check out goat meat, check out pork and all of that. You know very well. So I mean, it's a reality that we have to face. It's the reality on the ground. And wherever you go, whether it's from transport to whatever, you see that things are simply not the same. But let's not also forget that inflation is also personal. It depends on what your appetite. So if someone is purchasing brown rice, you are purchasing white rice. If you want brown sugar, white sugar, your taste will also determine partly your inflation.
And as part of this launch today, we will be connecting to our colleagues who will be at, as I said earlier, will be at the Cantamanto, that intersection between Mokola and Cantamanto. And we'll hear the real story, the real stories of market women, the real stories of drivers' mates and drivers themselves, people on their way to work. And they'll be telling us the key issues that will be influencing their vote this year. And I'm looking forward to hearing some of these things. We know them already, but I want to hear people. And it's not really about who you're going to vote for today. It's about the issues for us. We'll be hearing those stories. Swami Magazine, we chose that place, obviously, for the fact that this region is a stronghold of the party. And I've always said, if you want to really know what's going to happen to an incumbent party, go to their stronghold. It will give you a better sense of what they're about to witness in the elections itself. And today we'll get a better sense of that when we cross over to our colleagues, Nana Yaljima and Wachi Yadom and Co, who will be joining us live just around 9 a.m. live from Swami Magazine in Kumasi.
All right, so let me just give you this headline in 10 seconds. NDC's Fifi Fiavikwete under fire. You remember the issue about Baumia's disgrace to the north. And so Nana Komia has taken him on that bit. And then more than 400 detained in Russia while paying tribute to Navalny. That story on page 5 of the Daily Guide newspaper. Charlie, the man in Russia, some things don't happen in Russia. You shouldn't even attempt it.
But you see, the bit about Fifi Kwete and the north and all, I've said it before that election 2024 will determine a few things. The NDC over the period had always assumed that the north is their stronghold. When I say the north, I mean the 5 regions of the north. The NPP's Mahmoud Bawumia, since 2008, had made the north his base during elections. And the NDC, the few times they would go to the north and go and campaign, would always make the point that, if they want you to vote for them, they should bring Bawumia. Now that the NPP has brought Bawumia, you would want to see whether the NDC would pay attention to the north. And if they pay attention to the north, now that Dr. Bawumia is also the presidential candidate, can he stay only in the north? Or he would have to go around the whole country? And I would answer that he would have to go around the whole country. If he goes around the whole country, will the north reward him just by virtue of the fact that he comes from the north, or because he's gone there to campaign? Well, this is the other point. Per research, we've been told that when it comes to elections, out of 17 factors that Adams and Co. Put down, ethnicity, or where one comes from, was number 14. It means that it doesn't play such an important role.
Where did religion come?
Come again?
Religion. And what
Well,
was the figure for religion?
I have to check a religion bit, but I know that when it comes to ethnicity, it's 14. It means it doesn't play such an important role compared to the state of one's pocket. So we would see in 2024 whether or not the NDC or the NPP, based on the fact that all candidates are coming from the north, who gets majority of the votes. At least we know now that Dr. Bawumia has been able to flip the northeast region. For instance.
I mean, I was coming to that point because he flipped it, considering the fact that in, say, 1998, the gap between the NDC and NPP was something a region of 30%.
Yeah.
And over time, and as we did a graph, you see how when he came in 2008, he closed the gap consecutively until the last elections when he completely flipped it. That challenges a bit this point about ethnicity and kinship being number 14, right? Because if you, the people that, why do you think you're voting for Dr. Bawumia?
Well,
and voting for the MPP.
But isn't that crucial? Just before he came in, Winston. I mean, look at Professor Evans at Mills and the central region. The way there's no proper correlation. But in the case of Dr. Bawumia, it's become interesting. I've seen research as well that has suggested that, in fact, if you look at the gains since he's been contesting as running mate to Akufo-Addo, before even they came into power, there's not necessarily been that correlation between he's from the north and getting votes, even till the 2020 elections. So, I mean, it's not a strong correlation.
No, but if you look at the north, some research I see. Winston and I have seen that data. We've been doing that.
And is that a strong correlation?
It is absolutely strong, at least for the northeast one.
I'm talking about the northern belt, not just the north.
But even to the point he makes about ethnicity and kinship. For him in that particular area, it's absolutely important. That's the only reason why, since he came in, they flipped it over what? 3 elections.
You're right. In 2016 they did, and in 2020 they continued. In the Northeast region in particular, you're right.
And there's no slowdown there.
You're right. See, this is the point.
I will be surprised.
And you think that trend will continue?
I will be surprised that in 2024, with all the difficulties and the hardships, somebody will vote simply because a candidate comes from
You'll be
their
surprised. This is
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
that's why we're trying to. We're doing this to sensitize.
We've moved on. The trends, we should see the trends changing. If we say that the economy is what you feel in your pockets, then should you be voting based on the fact that the candidate simply comes from your region?
Well, so Mama V, let me make the point, and Evans is right. The thing about research is that this is somebody's research. Maybe he used a different method. You could try another one, or you could do a qualitative study that says that's not the reality. And you and I have had this discussion. I have disagreed, but for purpose of analysis, you go with the research. The point is that it is true, if you look at happenings in the North, it would suggest to you that where the candidate comes from. But this is the other point. Within that period also, you can see the NPP gaining ground even in the Savannah region where John Mahama comes from.
Yeah.
And so that would actually give credence to the fact that sometimes it is not just where you come from, because you would expect that where John Mahama comes from, he's able to get a lot of votes there. But Bamia gets it in his backyard and he's eating into John Mahama's advantage. But Bamavi, this is the point. When it comes to elections, lots of factors, lots and lots of factors. You talk about the economy, yes. And that's the reason why somebody could just be waiting for his share of what they term as national cake, which I disagree, and just go ahead and vote in anybody. So you be saying, oh, what you feel in your pocket. Somebody is actually relying on you, the person in Accra, to send him money every month. So for him, all that you're going through, you are his benefactor. So once you get him the money, he's waiting, and he's going to make a decision based on your benevolence. Okay? And but for all of us here, it is factual that the economy is bad. We know. That is not in doubt. Today, the lending rates are over 30%. They are very high. Businesses are complaining. Today, inflation is over 23%.
If you're being realistic.
Look, and the point is that just last week, they increased fuel prices. So all of us who drive to work, we've had to spend more. But the question is, what has happened to our earnings? No show.
Sure.
When you also consider inflation, which actually erodes what
yes, and inflation is high. It's not like, you see, when we talk about the fact that inflation is just 23%, look, it's not just 23%. 23% is...
That's a fifth.
That's a fifth.
A fifth.
Yeah. A fifth of your earnings. Yeah. That is huge. Anyway, we'll come back to all of this, I'm sure, once we get into the election.
A quick point. What excites me, the fact that both candidates, the front runners for the NDC and the NPP, are both from the Northern Belt. Straight fight. I want to see how it goes.
Well, the Daily Graphic talks about public sector salaries up by 23%. And Ghana Post reaches out to customers. President Akufo-Addo pushes for Africa-wide mobile interoperability. And Pharmacy Council declares war on unlicensed practitioners. And GIDA rolls out major irrigation interventions for 2024. Now, the back page, I know you would not like this, Mama V, but Kumasi Asante Kotoko stages a comeback to win J.A. Kufuor Cup. Can you help us by reviewing it?
I thought you were talking about the league.
No. But the league, where are you?
Shall we all,
it's not like a
league, where are you?
This. I know this is not news that the Mama V's and the Evans men says would be particularly enthralled about, but some of us are ecstatic by that.
To the aid,
so this match was between Kotoko and Nswatreman.
Yes.
And it ended 2-1.
Yes.
And because of that, you're excited.
Nswatreman is above you in the league.
Seriously.
They're above you, Mama V.
I was about to...
Why?
Winston.
Why are you relying?
You see,
have you become the Ghana Black Stars?
problem with Kotoko is that Haas is your standard.
Hey,
no, Haas has never been our standard.
Africa's team of the last
He's
century.
never been our standard.
That's a fact.
No.
See, even when you win 2-1, you're thinking about Haas.
No, I am reminding you.
The point is, we're just reminding you of your misery, where you are.
Mama V.
We're not miserable.
Mama V, where are you?
It's the league.
I'm asking, where are you placing the table?
We're on the table.
That's a good one.
Mama V, are you not supporting Heart of Lions?
Yeah, that's all you want, right?
I thought you had moved to Heart of Lions.
table.
Mama V, I thought you had moved to Heart of
Hearts
Lions.
is in the hearts.
You are still Heart of Folk.
There's a heart there.
Anyway, let me just do the Statesman before we wrap up the newspaper review. And talks about Jinapor takes on NDC over 24-hour economy. And guys, I mean, as we're launching our election headquarters, one of the major policies going into election 2024 is the 24-hour economy. And at every, opportunity the NPP gets, they tend to take it on and questioning the relevance and suitability of a 24-hour economy and whether it's not being done currently. I don't know what your take is on it, guys.
I honestly think the more you speak about it, the more fuel you give it and its relevance. The key question, though, to ask is, we know what the NDC's flagship policy is. It's resonated with a lot of people. It became controversy. What is the MPP's flagship? Right? I mean, when Nanado was campaigning, you could talk about free SHS. It was just sticking out.
So are you telling me you've not heard of digitization leading to digitalization?
But that's the thing. We've been used to that. We've been used to that for so long.
Even the newspapers we're using today are digital.
Well, what's new? You need that headliner that then drives your campaign. People can rally around that, and you drive it. That I haven't heard yet from the Baumia camp. But the NDC has one.
Yes, NDC has 24-hour economy. When Baumia spoke about his vision, you're right, you don't get that one policy that he's going into 2024 with. You get about some 15 to 20-point agenda that he wants to achieve if given the chance, talking about when it comes to taxation. Some of the things that we've consistently talked about, except that now he's talking about a flat rate for, I don't know whether he's going to come back again, because in 2016 they said from taxation to production. The evidence today is that we are not engaged in taxation to production. And for me, that's where the problem even is. That today, the NPP is found at every opportunity to tax people. The very government that talked about from taxation.
Well, the management of the economy has made it impossible for them to do otherwise. But that's my point.
They cost it.
That's my point. The management of the economy
and turn around and
so
tax
you have to tax more. Remember when they came in first, 2017, 18, they had for that Christmas budget where they attempted to reduce almost all taxes and a raft of them. And then reality set in. And 2019, the reports show we began that downward trend even before COVID hit. And the management of that, we saw the consequences. It's really the reason why they're imposing all these taxes. Because of how the management of the economy had been less than optimal.
That's even problematic. Because by 2019, they had warned us of being at high risk of debt distress.
Yes, that's my point.
We continued into COVID. Then we went into 2021. We went to the international capital market, and when it became problematic for us, we still went there. Which government that thinks of its people would go into an IMF program, knowing that people have become worse off? Now, the Ghana Statistical Service, in its own report, says that 2/3 of Ghanaians have not restored their income to pre-COVID-19 levels.
Yeah.
2/3 of Ghanaians.
800,000 people have been moved into
the poverty. And yet, this government goes into an IMF program. Instead of cutting down on expenditure, they actually go into an IMF program, promising the IMF to engage in massive revenue mobilization. Which government, thinking of the well-being and welfare of the people, would do that? And so, I mean, when they make all these points of COVID-19 and all of that, you had a chance to actually do things right. You messed things, and you turn around and burden the people. That is not acceptable. But of course, you've already acknowledged our sponsors for the online news review. So let me just tell you that if you're running out of fuel in your vehicle, then don't just stop anywhere. Don't do that. Let's introduce you to the Good Energy family and why you must be a part. Gold Super XP on 95 and Diesel SP are the best quality fuel with high performance in town for your vehicle. Gold Super XP on 95 is a high-grade fuel sold at the same price as normal fuel, and Gold Diesel SP is low in sulfur, making it an eco-friendly option for your vehicle with over 440 stations across the nation. Join the family that rewards you with quality for an energized driving experience. Goil Good Energy, Goil Yenara Yejin.
And here's some great news for the people of Ashaman and its environs. Zenith Bank now has a branch near you. Your customer-focused bank has drawn closer to you with the opening of the Zenith Bank Ashaman branch, located at the Ashaman Shell Filling Station on the Ashaman Klagon Road. Your bank of choice is ready to serve you with a bouquet of banking products and services. So whether you're an SME, a small corporate business owner, you're young or old, rest assured that we have a product made just for you. Visit Zenith Bank's Ashaman branch today. Exceptional service awaits you. Zenith Bank, in your best interests.
Well, around this time, at the top of the hour on radio, Joy 99.7 FM would have been bringing you the BBC News. And we're acknowledging them. Of course, it's always brought to you courtesy of Fidelity Bank. Believe with us. And Old Mutual, 10 years of greatness in Ghana, here for a lifetime.
And we'll go for a short break. When we return, we continue with our coverage for the launch of your election headquarters for election 2024. Stay with us. We'll be right back.